So, like, I had made a short video that said, hey, went out of town. We needed a vacation. I work all the time. So, when you get a chance to go out of state for the weekend, you kind of jump on it. But, anyways, still trying to make time for everybody because I really appreciate the new subscribes and the likes and the comments. This is really awesome. I've been working on this for a while, and watching it grow is very gratifying, and I keep looking up and saying thank you. I'm helping to get out the message of the divine. It's just flowing through me. So remember, always give that praise and that thanks, and that will help greatly on the path that you're on. So I had a comment. Somebody was dealing with not feeling like they fit in society and wanting a little bit of help. And honestly, I remember feeling like an alien, and it's hard, yes, until you finally embrace, you know what, I'm not here to fit in, because what society puts you in a box to be, it doesn't allow you to let your spirit shine and glow and just fulfill yourself, right? So one thing I can tell you is be okay with not being like everyone else. I've always looked at this world as an insane asylum. And if I'm not cray cray, like just way out in left field, whichever direction you see it, I'm not way out there, right? So then that means that I'm not completely lost in the matrix. This is kind of like a game, a struggle for power, and everyone wants to be in control. And a lot of it boils down to nobody is controlling themselves. And it just, don't think you have to fit in with everyone around you to be a good person. Because even laws, I mean, if you look at the way that laws are made, that you have man-made laws, moral laws, universal laws, but a lot of times those laws aren't looked at of how will your spirit accept this. Am I going to actually feel free because of these regulations and rules that are made up? And the only ones that really are not made up are those universal laws that we've learned through time. That what you put out is what you're going to get back. The kind of energy you're putting out is what you're attracting. So there's a lot more laws of the universe, and nobody knows these laws. And honestly, if we would function on a level that says, oh, okay, this is how this is going to work, then we would understand more so how we need to take each step, how the action will be okay. But we're not taught how to live in alignment with the planet that we're on. We're more taught how to fit into society. So as you're fitting in with society, your brain starts breaking down, your nervous system starts breaking down, your immune system starts getting shot, anxiety attacks, panic attacks. You have to take medicine for high blood pressure, just all these different aspects that your body is actually telling you it's shutting down because it's not functioning on the level that your spirit knows you're here to be on. So this goes back to that spiritual awakening, right? As you begin to realize something is amiss, then you start going, okay, but how do I fit in now? And like I said, you're not looking to fit in. You're looking to find what you're good at, what fulfills your soul, help others. And honestly, the more that you help others, the more you will heal yourself. And for years, I've been a freelance writer. So I've written advertisement articles, web reviews, product reviews, just various things, how-tos, over a lot of different topics. And one that I loved writing on the most was how can you get rid of stress and anxiety. And the pointers that I found were the best were when you feel like your world is falling apart, find somebody else that is in pain or going through their own struggles as well. So when you focus on helping them with what they have going on, that does two things for you. It allows you to distract from your own issue at the time, to kind of give it a breather and say, okay, I'm going to come back and revisit this later. And then also it allows you to realize you're not alone in this world. You know that everyone is going through something. Everyone is struggling with something. Some people hide it better than others. Some people just kind of break down. And there's no right or wrong about how you handle trial and tribulation. But like I said, that's one thing I can suggest, is if you feel like you are just in the muck, you can't get up, if nothing's worth it, life sucks, I don't want to be here, find somebody that is in need, and you will find that your heart grows, that your compassion opens back up, even for yourself, you know. And another pointer is exercise. And you'll probably hear me talk about this a lot, because the more that you sit, you become stagnant. And as you're becoming stagnant, you're basically rotting. And you have all of these blockages that are affecting your ability to think, your ability to react in a healthy manner. And a lot of times we're dealing with people that are controlling. And that's the hard part. I know this. The more in control of yourself that you are, I swear it irritates the crap out of people, you know. And they always say that your light will irritate some people's demons, and this is very true. And a lot of times it's loved ones. It's people that we're investing our heart and soul into, our patience, our time. But also on the backside of that, it's kind of like a practice, you know, that you see the way that they're reacting, and it helps you to go, okay, stay calm, breathe through it. And even today I had just a small little heated conversation, and it was us talking about things that are very personal to us, you know. And the other person started raising their voice. And I had to say, you know what, step outside, just leave it for a minute and then come back. Can I talk to you? And as soon as I started talking again, that emotion is still there, basically, of how dare you speak to me like this. Volume starts raising again. And I had to put my foot down and say, look, you're not going to speak to me like this, for one. You're not going to sit here and yell at me while I'm trying to have a mature conversation with you. And also, you raising the volume is not changing the conversation. No need to raise the volume. You need to get a better argument with what we're discussing. When you can begin to speak to people in a manner like this, you're keeping control of the situation rather than and you're both just going at each other's necks, right? We don't accomplish anything like that when two people are in an emotional state of mind and they're just yelling at each other. I went through this for years, and eventually I just kind of surrendered and said, you're in control, because I didn't want to fight anymore. I didn't want my kids to witness it. I didn't want to deal with the stress of not feeling loved. And sadly, that didn't change until I walked away. And when I walked away, that was me going, oh, let me take my power back with me. And if you're arguing with people, if you're finding yourself with a vein popping out, believe me, for years I was red in the face, and I'm talking brain, just a nerve, a vein, something that I had to tell myself finally, if you do not stop doing this, you're going to have a stroke. You're going to have a heart attack. Your kids are going to be all alone with somebody that is emotionally immature, and they can't even raise them or function. So yes, it is difficult to regain your composure, but the best way to handle people, whether they're slightly toxic, extremely toxic, just wounded, and they don't really know how to communicate because they haven't ever had healthy communication, the best way to handle them is to try to keep yourself calm, because you cannot affect how somebody reacts to you, right? You can affect how you react to them and what you say to them. And a lot of times we don't purposely poke at people when they're angry, But when people are angry, they feel like you're attacking them. So it's just like a wounded animal, right? If you go to save a wounded animal, that animal's going to just fight at you, bite at you, claw at you. It's going to defend itself because it's hurt. And it doesn't know that it can trust you. And it's the same with all of us on a human scale. We don't know if we can trust one another because we've been taught, like I said the other day, to be suspicious, to think that everybody's out to get something. Everybody has their own personal gain, right? So you have to realize everybody's going through something. And as you can realize that about them and understand you yourself are going through something, this allows you the freedom to start communicating on a higher vibrational level, to where you're not sitting here arguing with somebody, wasting your time and energy, keeping yourself down. Because it's really, I'll put it in a example like this. It's really easy to put on the weight, right? You barely notice it until one day you're just like, wow, I need a new wardrobe. My clothes don't fit anymore. I feel sluggish. I don't feel good. And then you're going to have to work double time to reverse what you've done to yourself. And it's the same when it comes to communication or on an emotional scale. The more that you give your power away, the more that you don't communicate, the more that you just kind of put your hands up and go, I don't really know how to go about this, and you just accept what it is. Before you know it, you feel like a victim to your own life. And for the longest time, I was a victim of circumstance. I was a victim of somebody who was toxic. I blamed everything around me rather than going, oh, okay, it was the fear of me not wanting to speak up. It was the fear of me making someone angry, because the relationship I was in was not just arguing. There was a lot of physical abuse. There was a lot of emotional abuse. There was a lot of mental abuse. And just to remind everybody, it is never okay. You are worth so much more than allowing yourself to be put into a situation where you're so fearful that you just sit back and become somebody's punching bag, or you let them take their emotions out on you to a point that they can tear you down to where you don't even want to be here anymore. And I remember being in that position. I remember staring at the wall and thinking, I'm just going to die staring at the wall, you know? And one day I finally had to say, there's more to life than this. There's more to life than me sticking in a relationship hoping it would change, because I was changing. I was losing my identity. I was not able to communicate what I needed, even with myself. I couldn't understand why I was in that situation. And for the longest time I kept going, God is punishing me. What did I do? I went around and around and around thinking I was a really bad person at some point, and I deserved every bit of punishment that I was getting. And I actually put myself in a situation to where I excused his actions and took on his fault to make myself okay with being in the situation. And the more I did that, the more I suffered. I suffered on a mental aspect. I suffered emotionally, big time. Physical ailments started happening. I started stressing so much. I mean, heart palpitations, and might be too much information, but maybe somebody else needs to hear this. Bleeding nonstop. And that was kind of like my body going, what are you doing? Why are you allowing this? And it's just like a vehicle that when it's losing fluids all the time, it's not functioning correctly, right? And eventually that car is going to die on you, because you can't keep putting in, and just losing it as you're going down the road. So I remember my eyes turned gray. I was very pale. I was sick a lot, and I would still have to suffer through. And I got to a point where I knew if I didn't change the situation, that I myself was not going to survive. And at that time, my babies were, I want to say, probably 6 and 9. And now they're 13 and 16. And me taking back my power has actually allowed them to take back their power, for them to realize that they have choices in life, that they can dream, that they can have goals, they can build a future. Because understand, your children are watching you, right? We all know that children are sponges. So when you have the next generation stepping up to take your place, not necessarily take your place, but they're the ones that are going to live in this world, right? So as they're watching us, they're not necessarily learning how to strive. They're still figuring out how to survive and be combative, and to put themselves in situations that aren't beneficial for their own growth. And if they're not growing, then the environment that they're living in, what they're creating and adding to, is not growing. So essentially, we've made it to a point in our timeline of life that says, okay, I'm not intelligent enough to live, so I'm just going to sit here and slowly die. And I'm going to sedate myself on a level that I'm okay just dying. And that's not a way to live life at all, you know. And when we begin to question ourselves so regularly and not knowing the answers, it becomes a what if, how come, shoulda, coulda, woulda, and just all these different things that do not bring anything that helps to bring clarity, guidance, understanding, acceptance. We're not having anything anymore that's allowing us to go, okay, I'm worth this much. I'm going to allow this much. Those are called boundaries. And I'm going to work towards this, rather to better myself, my community, my household, my children, society as a whole. And when you start functioning on that scale, those aspects, believe me, there's still fear linked to this. And sometimes you're going to have your successes and be like, whoa, that's happening, you know? And then other days it's going to be feeling like you're defeated, but just don't let yourself get to the point that you're so defeated that you just give up and you don't keep going. Because that's the whole point in controlling people through instant gratification, through making them put themselves on a scale of value, and that comes through a monetary system, and then keeping things that are free and making people work for that. So like your food, your shelter, and then even clothing has become a necessity, right? Because we have so many rules and regulations that say you can't walk around wearing certain things. And then also if you dress a certain way, you're ostracized from society, or you are stereotyped, and then you're messed with a lot more from, say, the police or different aspects. It's like when I had dreadlocks. I had dreadlocks for 11 years. And the stereotyping that came with that, especially being a white woman, it was basically I was a drug addict, I was dirty, I was homeless. And believe me, I took care of myself. I took care of my children. My daughter had dreadlocks as well. They were natural, though. I could not get hers out. So at 2 years old, until she was about 8 or 9, she had dreadlocks. And eventually, by the time I had to leave my relationship for the last time and I knew I had to fit into society, it was really hard to allow that portion of my identity go and start functioning in society on a level that I didn't know how, because the person I was with, they were ex-military, and they didn't necessarily hold the beliefs of the military, but they held the discipline, the control, all of these aspects. So when it came down to releasing that side of me that was kind of like the free spirit, the hippie, the being okay with being judged by society because of my appearance or things like that, there was a gap in between that time that I lost my identity once again. And it was really hard because I'd grown so accustomed to being a certain way. And I couldn't deal with, I have to fit in, because I've never fit in. And I've never tried to fit in. I've actually had people copy me a lot when I was younger, and that would drive me nuts. Why are they copying me? I want my own identity. I want to be different. I want to stand out. And it didn't matter what I did. I had people that would mimic me, and I thought they were making fun of me. I never looked at the fact that they looked up to me. And when I started realizing as I got older that, okay, nobody's mocking me, and I started realizing I was being watched for a reason, it made me sit up taller, walk with my head held higher, made me realize that I was a leader and that I had to behave in a certain way. Now, believe me, I went to the complete full-blown scale of almost drove myself crazy with being a perfectionist, with being somebody that you can't judge me. I don't do anything wrong. I don't act like everyone else. I didn't think I was better than everybody else, but I was trying to present a way of life that I thought would benefit society, and I basically had myself in a chokehold. And I walked a very fine line. I had certain practices that would drive a lot of people crazy. And even right now, I have high standards and big boundaries. And there's a reason for that, because I'm on an energetic level that I've worked to be on. And as you get on a higher vibration, you still will attract toxic people into your world. So when you're new to this vibration that's higher and you're kind of leveling up and they're trying to pull you back down, when it comes to this, you have to have those boundaries, not to be better than everybody else, not to throw anything in their face, but to understand that you're protecting yourself. Because one thing we are not taught, it is okay to protect yourself. You don't have to do this in a violent manner. You don't have to do this in a cocky way. You don't have to be arrogant. You don't have to separate yourself from the whole and be like, I don't need any of that. Because believe me, we all want somebody. We all want companions. We all want people we can grow with, right? And you're going to meet people that are on your level of energy. Remember that law. You attract what you put out. So you can be in a transition of life, of coming from a way that you were, that was like, here's my face, go ahead, use it as a doormat, I'll just wash it off. And I was like that for a long, long time. And it took a long time for me to realize that I'm nobody's doormat. I'm not your punching bag. I'm not here to make you feel better. I'm not here to save you. I'm not here to do anything outside of what is comfortable for me. And this is a hard message to receive, especially when you're used to being a people pleaser, or you're used to functioning on a low energetic level to where you let people do or say whatever they want to you and you just accept it. But remember, as you're doing that to yourself, as you're going, it's okay for you to treat me however you want, because I'd rather not be alone. You're abandoning yourself. And that inner child in you that is already wounded from not being able to speak up, not being able to make choices. I talked about it in a video just the other day. So you have that inner child in you that wants to be free, that wants to help you enjoy life on a level that's magical. So the more that you allow yourself, especially as an adult, to continue the behavior as a child and not speak up for yourself and live in fear, you are you're putting yourself in a mindset that says, I'm not worthy, I deserve to be treated this way. You'll continually abandon yourself. So then that creates ailments, right? Like I said, anxiety, stress, heart attack, stroke, the need for medication, just things that a lot of us have a hard time dealing with. So yes, Valium is a very big usage, Xanax, I don't even know, Klonopin. You've got all of these white coat pills that are meant to help you fit in society. And that's still another area of controlling you in an aspect that says you have to fit in. No, you don't. Please don't fit in. Please be yourself. Please shine. Let the world see that it is okay to be unique, rare, a diamond. And it takes you believing in yourself. It takes you going, you know what? I deserve better than this, and I'm okay asking for more. Even if you have what you need to get by, it's okay to ask for more. And it's okay to believe in yourself, even when nobody else does. So I'm just here venting more truth. I like to put the truth out there because a lot of us are so used to living in lies that we don't understand the truth. And then when we hear it, we're like, oh God, what are people going to think? I can't think like that. I can't do that. They're going to judge me. Baby, stand back, let them judge you. It doesn't matter what they think. What they think about you does not dictate who you are. What people will say about you does not change the character that you hold, because you know who you are. And the one thing that made me get to a point of not caring anymore, I'll be your clown. I don't care, because you can't laugh at me if I can laugh at myself, right? You can't tear me down when I've already torn myself down and built myself back up. You can't tell me who or what I'm supposed to be. You don't know me. You don't know what I'm called to do in this lifetime. Just like I don't know what you're called to do in this lifetime. And if you want to find out your calling, you want to find out how to raise yourself up in a healthy manner, you want to start bringing things to you, I will remind you again, manifest, pray, be gracious, and just hold the faith. Keep the faith. It's all going to work out in divine timing the way it should. The way you're meant to show up. If you're willing to push fear to the side, do your breathing, believe in yourself, give gratitude to the Most High, I promise you, you will begin opening doors and slamming doors on the backside that will lead you to a higher level of existence, a better way of thinking, the ability to stand back and say, I ain't nobody's fool. And the worst person you can lie to, that's yourself. So don't let anybody tear you down with their view of you. Know in your heart who you are, what you stand for, what you're willing to accept, and be okay with pushing everything else to the wayside, because people will try to manipulate or alter who you are to benefit themselves. So love and light. Hopefully that helped just a little bit. I'll try to get some more messages out, but like I said, we're kind of on vacation right now and just trying to enjoy the last couple days, because come Monday it's back to the grindstone. So peace, love, and light, and everybody enjoy their weekend. Bye-bye.